Hello and welcome to this live interaction with me, Ashish Parekh. And one of the things that we are focusing on, apart from COVID-19 right now, is also the cyber attacks that have increased during the pandemic itself. Yes, there's been a surge in the number of people who are working digitally, who are going working remotely, and also a lot of transactions are also happening through digital sources. Yes, a lot of people were using digital devices, digital sources to undertake their transactions, and also companies were also having their work online and also working remotely. But at the same time, especially after the pandemic, given the fact that this was the only other alternative for people to start working, this is something that has become a norm right now. And also that means that a lot of companies have to logistically and also strategically shift to online all of their businesses and all of their other transactions as well. And that means that they are also at the risk of there being a cyber attack. And in fact, a global survey by Barracuda Networks has revealed that 66% of Indian organizations have suffered at least one data breach after shifting to the remote working model. Now, while the COVID-19 pandemic has also accelerated digital transactions, payments, and all the activities online, it has also ended up causing banks and financial institutions a lot more vulnerability as far as cyber working is concerned. And also it has made it much more susceptible to cyber attacks from not just Indian hackers, but also hackers from across the globe. We've been tracking all the developments as to how many companies have been targeted online, and also their servers have been breached, their data has been compromised by by entities that are working from abroad. Now, to speak to us more about this, especially as far as banks and other financial institutions are concerned, I've got with me Rex Anthony, who's a cyber expert solution, and also Rex Anthony, who's a cyber solutions expert from Chennai. First of all, Rex, my question to you is, we're talking about banks and other financial institutions as of now. So what exactly is the threat that they're facing during the pandemic, given the fact that a lot of transactions are happening online, but at the same time, the user risk has also increased online?
Parak, if you say the risk, if particularly the customers, the common people, they are the most vulnerable source as per banks' perspective, because these people can be easily exploited. And even though there are a lot of organizations who is small companies and the companies in terms of engaging in a lot of e-commerce activities, they are all mostly get into these kind of scams. There is something called triangular scams are happening. A lot of man in middle attacks are happening. A lot of OTP disclosures. So yeah, these are the things are the main threats for the bank as of now in terms of customer level. And the next level is in terms of technology level. Now, most of the people are work from home, their bank employees and the other people who is related to banks activities, they are working from home, and the compliance part is not yet clearly handled now as of now. Yeah, in every organization, that is the most biggest risk we have now.
Absolutely. Also, Rex, now we're talking about one particular axis that employees are working through home network, and also the vulnerabilities are also at its peak. And now cyber criminals, what they're doing is they're taking advantage of this opportunity, because earlier you only had very limited operations online. Now you've got a lot of activity happening online. People are working remotely. Almost all of the staff is working remotely. And this could also mean that there are a lot of phishing mails that are being forwarded by all of these scamsters. You have Trojans embedded in applications and website as well, and also various other types of scams that are taking place at a breakneck speeds. So one thing that organizations can possibly do is they can make sure that the firewall is strong enough to make sure that there is no such hacking, but at the same time, one way or the other, all of the information is being compromised. How exactly is that happening?
But whatever the security mechanism we bring in, maybe the firewall, whatever it is, multiple security checks we can bring in, but still the most vulnerable thing is human mind. It can be easily seduced. I can trick your mind very easily, right? That is why the organizations nowadays focusing on enriching their employees. They are trying to give more awareness in terms of cyber attacks and cyber crimes. What is happening in that? What is happening inside the organization? How to make sure we are engaging with if something is happening. So those kind of cyber awareness, which is nowadays start increasing in organization, that is the only way. The awareness is the only way to solve this kind of problems like the scams, like OTP scams, and the next level of phishing scams, fake site scams. These are can be stopped from the end user, like customer and employees. Their level only they can stop. In terms of technology, up to certain extent, you can block the external attacks.
Yeah.
The next, you are willingly give this information.
Exactly.
That is the problem actually.
Yeah.
You have to be know what you are clicking and what you are sharing.
Absolutely.
Without that, I can't help you. That up to certain extent I can help you. After that, I can't.
Exactly. Now, that again brings us to the point of digital hygiene, which we'll later on talk about. But as of now, you're talking about technology being advanced and also there being some sort of a development that is happening to make sure that there is no breach as far as the data servers are concerned, and also the user privacy is not compromised. But also, the other thing that we also need to talk about here is that these attackers are so well resourced, so well equipped, that they're constantly evolving their modus operandi, and they're making sure that they use some techniques that have, before anyone figures out how to exactly counter it, they end up with all of these information. So there is some sort of an evolution that is also happening as far as technology is concerned. So how exactly do banks and financial institutions make sure that this also does not happen? Because even a few minutes of data breach could also mean that lakhs and crores of data and information can go out.
The main thing is the institutions are taking more activities into it. They're making a lot of compliance. They are doing a lot of awareness to their employees. Still, the problem is not only in the organization level. That is what I just tried to put it here.
Okay.
It's also in the level of the customers, like you and me. Exactly. So the banks already insured every transaction which is happening. That is one of the main thing I could point out here. Once you got affected or something like that, the OTP is, we know that we should not share to anybody, but people still sharing it. And they're still sharing the credit card details and debit card details. So these problems can be only solved by the awareness, even though the banks are made insurance for each transactions, but up to maybe they given an 8 hours time period. If something is happened, if you able to identify that my account has been breached or somebody taken the money from my account, you have to reach them 8 hours, within 8 hours with a complaint. Then they can able to recover the amount within 8 hours.
Absolutely. Also, Rex, now, yes, you're talking about all of these things, credit card and debit card, possibly being one of the major source of cyber crimes that is happening in India. RBI also recently came up with a set of guidelines from October 1st, in fact, to make sure that people do not really end up losing all their money. Like, they have this particular cap on international transaction, and also all of these accounts that have not been used for a long time, their transaction through their debit and credit cards would also be stopped. So all of these things are being done by the banks as well, but also we're now talking about UPI. For example, NPCI's UPI alone has clocked around 1.49 billion as far as volume is concerned, and as far as transaction value is concerned, it has clocked around $41 billion in value in July 2020 as well. So this clearly goes on to show that digital transaction is happening at a very high volume in India. So right now there are a lot of viewers joining us live. So Rex, from your end, being a cybersecurity expert, what are your tips for people, especially when they're dealing with all of these online and digital transactions using UPI? What are your tips for them? One, to make sure that they spot any sort of a fraud, and also second, to make sure that they do not really let out their information, and also they maintain digital hygiene.
Okay, the first thing, as you said, the RBI guidelines is given. Set your limits. For your bank accounts, the transactions limit per day or one transaction, you put a limit to that. At least it could reduce your damage you are going to face it. That's one. And second, if anything coming on the mobile, the links or in the email links or any other things which is asking for your personally identifiable informations like your credit card, your mobile number, and those things, so don't provide to that. And third, if you face any account deduction or unknowingly if any transaction is happening in your account, immediately block your card or reach your nearest bank to block your account. And within 8 hours, if you give a complaint to the bank, they can be able to retrieve the amount, whatever the amount size it is. That's not an issue. And second, to file a complaint, it's not mandatory. You have to visit a police station. You can file the complaint online itself. You can use cybercrime.gov.in. You can use that website, which is a government website. You can file a complaint where you can get the complaint copy. You can attach it to your bank as well. That will make your recovery very fast. this is the very easiest thing you have to keep in your mind to make sure you are making recovery, and to make sure you are secure. Don't share any details in the phone calls, even if they are known source. The recent scams which is happening are uh, reaching you through your known mobile numbers, your known Facebook IDs, your friends' IDs, asking for help. This is the recent modus operandi which is happening all over in India. So be cautious on this. Even if you are getting any notification stating that your friend is in need, just cross verify that with with their parents or your friends. Then make a decision on that.
Absolutely. You know, all of these things, yes, like you rightly mentioned, the banks, the institutions, and also the government can only do a bit from the technology end to make sure that there are no cyber attacks. But at the end of the day, it is the users end that is always left loose. And, you know, once you give out your information to someone, it is very little that any organization, any sort of a guideline can do to save your data. Because once the other person, the cyber criminal has all of your information, it is very simple for them to access all of your data. And it is at the end of the day, technology, it won't be able to identify whether you are logging in or someone else is logging in, as long as the user credentials, the login credentials are the ones that are mentioned by you. So clearly it is again something that users need to be aware of, and clearly our expert Rex Anthony from Rex Cyber Solutions pointing out towards the fact that digital hygiene needs to be maintained, and also giving us all the information about how to make sure that all the transactions which are happening digitally and also other transactions are well maintained and well secured. So do let us know what you guys think in the comment section below, and also do not forget to like, share and subscribe to News9 Digital. Thanks a lot for watching.